Hey everybody, Ken Plume here with a brand new bit of a chat recorded live in New York with my special guest, a returning guest, is a member of the League of Gentlemen, also one half of the team behind Inside Number 9, and is a member of the cast of the Martin McDonagh play Hangmen, Mr. Reece Shearsmith. And it was so much fun to record this while I was in New York, a really fun time. And hey, if you're a fan of a bit of a chat, please consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com/Ken Plume. Your support is immensely appreciated. But right now, here is a bit of a chat with Reece Shearsmith. Enjoy! I'm Ken Plume, and you're listening to A Bit of a Chat with me, Ken Plume.
To Ken Plume for a bit of a chat.
I think we should be good. That seems decent levels.
Good.
Perfect. And if it's not, I'll maybe fix it. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It doesn't matter.
Well, this is brilliant.
I know.
We're in the same place.
Yeah, physically.
You were allowed in the country.
After some back and forth, yes, I was eventually allowed in.
To come do art, to contribute.
Yeah. That was one of the things. Yeah, they wanted to know what I was doing, and I said I was in a play. And in fact, the man on the desk said, I've never been to a play, and I'd like to come and see it. And he wrote down the word Hangmen. I said, what? He said, what play is that? I said, it's called Hangmen. And he said, what's it about? And I said, it's about Hangmen. He hadn't heard of Martin McDonagh, but he was excited that I was doing it, and it was very welcoming once I told him it was about capital punishment.
I hope he comes. I hope he's there. He's just this is the finest play. I get my first play, everyone. First play.
Yeah. I let him in. You wouldn't be watching it without him, without me.
You let him into art.
Yeah, I know.
You opened a brand new way of thinking for him. You opened his experience.
I gave him the opportunity of thinking about it, for a few minutes while he grilled me.
So from now on, you're listing your occupation as life changer. Master thespian.
Yeah.
Life changer.
Life changer, yeah. I am. I'm like the Pied Piper of art, bringing people in.
Yeah. Like no other before you.
Exactly, yeah.
You're a barker for art.
I am. Yeah, I hope so.
Art was always a closed door to so many people.
Well, him, certainly, if you've never been to a play.
Not even a school play.
I don't know. I wanted just to get away from him, to be honest. I just want to be allowed in and go.
That's been his problem in life, is he felt always that people just wanted to get, but no one would open that door for him.
Well, they're stopping people opening doors. So it's good that he's seen the other side of the coin.
Now he's going to be letting all the artists in.
Yes. Well, I hope so. We should be allowed in.
So, I mean, this is, 20 years almost since you were last performing in New York?
We did some league shows 16 years ago.
Now, how did that come about? Because I know the league aired for a brief time on Comedy Central.
Yes.
Was that around the time?
Yeah, it was, yeah. And I don't think there was ever a plan like, right now is our time to go and do the Eddie Izzard and Conquer America. But we thought...
You had already done the league in French by that point.
Yes, yeah. That's it, yeah. We'd learned it and just did it like Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah. It's all phonetically. Like the Python German show.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Did it in Spanish. And our agents knew a guy called Arnold Engelman, who still is around and I think runs a theatre on Bleecker Street in New York. And he wanted us to come and do these shows. And we did like a weird little mini run of some of the classic sketches to an audience that were very appreciative and knew it. So it wasn't like there was a little bit of puzzlement, but generally it was people that, oh, yeah, I know them. I'm going to go and see them because they're here.
Now, how do you perceive puzzlement while you're performing?
Silence.
It could just be appreciative silence.
Well, we changed things. I mean, I remember thinking that stupid way. Mark did the Cave Guide sketch, where he's pointing out the stalactites and the stalagmites, and we changed some of the shapes of the things. One of them was, he was pointing his torch around the room, and he said, the nun, and the green eggs and ham. Somehow thinking they'll know Dr. Zoot because they're very good. And it was silent, played to silence. So I think you can't legislate. And as I'm learning now with this play, doing Hangmen, which is set in a pub in Oldham in 1960s, very thick northern dialect. You can't really. You either do it or you don't, and they have to just come with you and lean into it. And you've got to presume that yes, it might be a little difficult to begin with adjusting to the idiom, but eventually I think you do get it. You sort of get the musicality of it, and I don't think you lose. You might lose a bit of the absolute sense of it, but you certainly are rewarded with the play. You get the play. I mean, all our rehearsals when we've been in these previews have been about clarity of speech, really, just technically, just making sure it lands with. So even if they can't understand it, they've got the opportunity of being able to, because they can hear it at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you've done this play before. You did it in the West End.
2015, I did it in the Royal Court, yeah.
So this is a play you know. You come over here. You're getting these clarity notes for a role that you've done for an extended period of time. So let's say, it's about, let's say, toning down the accent. So for you as a performer, how easy is it to scale back an accent? Does it sort of reset things in your mind and sort of ruin the rhythm you have?
Yeah, well, it doesn't quite do that, but it feels... John, we came off having done our scene the other day, me and Johnny Flynn, and we were were very much aware of each other's performances being almost a bit more like infant school, because we were having to sort of be a little bit more clear in what we were doing with our voices and just pinging it out. And you find that becomes the thing you're thinking about and not just being in it and doing the part, So there's a once removed feel to it which can get in the way, but I think that will go. I think that's just how our body's adjusting to that technical exercise. Because last night it felt great and it was funny and people were laughing. And the audiences are different day to day, so night to night. So I don't think it's always us. I think it's just how it lands,
right,
and how they are deciding this Madonna play's going to hit them, whether it's really dark and horrible or whether they find it blackly comic and know to laugh early on, But it's great, and I think it couldn't have gone at a better time. There was talk of this happening a few years ago, or 1 year after, and now it's the perfect time, isn't it, for a Martin McDonagh play with his ascendance, with his 3 Billboards film.
And Oscar nominations.
Taking everyone, maybe not by surprise, but it's certainly it's been a real ignition as far as the sales of the play have gone.
And the subject around the film, as far as a cultural moment for it to come in with, certainly resonates. Yeah. And you having done it pre-Brexit.
Yes.
And now doing it post-Brexit and Trump in the U.S.,
I know. I mean,
does it feel different as far as zeitgeisty and how certain jokes are landing?
Yeah, it does, definitely. I mean, it's only 2 years ago we did it, and yet the world has changed completely in the attitude to... I mean, not that we were going to be running out and doing all the horrible things that happen in the play, but I think people are mindful, even more cautiously mindful of presenting attitudes. And, it's 1960, so everyone is racist, everyone is homophobic and misogynistic, and it would have been wrong.
Disturbingly casually so.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And
there's no button on any of those elements within it.
No, it's just, yes, absolutely. That's what's probably the most chilling thing about it. It's so thrown away. It's just that's what they were like. And so to not have it would have been curious, I think, because you would have been sort of not doing what people were like in those days. But yeah, I think it's the attitude to women, and you could start to think you shouldn't be doing that in this climate. But I think you probably should, because it is it only opens the door to more debate and people thinking about it in the correct manner. We were saying the other day that it would be a great time to do Oleana again. Because where does that leave you with her character? And the wind would be behind her now, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That a very different attitude to that play, and the perception of what was going on with her and him in that play.
Well, we only had just a few years ago the Supreme Court in this country coming down with a judgment about getting rid of regulating sort of voter issues of segregation, saying racism's over.
Right.
In this country. So we don't need these laws to prevent the discrimination.
Wow.
Whereas, I see one of the probably best, worst aspects of what's happened in the UK and the US is that I think we had a delusion that things had healed.
Yeah.
Things had maybe scabbed over, but the wound was still there.
Yeah.
And we were able to not address it.
Yes.
By saying, oh, no.
Yeah, no, we're not.
On the surface, everything,
yeah.
Which just means that everyone was under their breath and behind closed doors.
Absolutely, yeah.
Espousing those horrible thoughts.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You've hit completely what Nietzsche, the Nietzschean, he calls it the Nietzschean shadow.
Hey, everybody. Ken Plume dropping in here real quick because Reece asked that I drop in a note to correct it. He said Nietzschean shadow. He actually meant the Jungian shadow. So he was very, very insistent that I drop in a little note that he had just misspoken, and that is the correction. So right now here, we're going to go back to our chat after that little correction. Remember, it's the Jungian shadow, not the Nietzschean shadow. Back to the chat.
And it's the shadow in man that exists, and you can't deny it. And it's like, Jeremy sent me a really brilliant article that sort of went into this this theory. It's not really a theory. It's patently clear because it is there and bubbling under the surface, and you can't suppress it. You can think you can, but it only gets worse when you put a lid on it, and you sort of need to get it out in the open and talk about it, so that it can't become this swing. This is why you go from Obama to Trump, and Brexit goes, right, we are doing it now, and this monstrous cry in the dark, basically, because the people aren't doing it. Some people are doing it strangely, maliciously, but it seems such a weird act of. It's the one thing that some people think they've got to claw onto and fight back with, in a world where no one has listened to them for however long, So
which is facilitated by
silenced
voter apathy.
Yeah, absolutely, of course, yeah.
I mean, there's all this talk about the fact that. There's this massive swing, but that massive swing is facilitated by people simply not showing up to vote.
Yeah.
You may have, a more progressive thinking be the majority, but if that majority doesn't actually vote that majority, you can have a minority of thought swing into power because they just happen to motivate themselves to get out.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's, I think, what's happened in both cases, here and the UK as well. So it's quite scary. But yeah, the play is timely, I think, and also fun. I mean, it is a sort of political play in a weird way. By the end, it holds back on its thoughts about capital punishment until sort of the last line, really. But I won't spoil it in case people want to see it. But it is sort of, it does. And we were curious to see how it would land in a place that's still not New York, but a country that still has it. We abolished it in the 60s, so it's interesting to think there are still people that are state-paid murderers.
Yeah.
And it's such a fascinating thing that Martin has explored in the idea of these hangmen that used to exist and were very, they'd get paid their train fare, and they'd get their suit on, and they'd get the call.
But also fascinating that's a part-time.
Yeah,
that's like a little public service job they had on the side.
That's right. Yeah,
because the lead in this play, the hangman we're following, is a publican.
Yeah, it wasn't his day-to-day job. He would get the call and he would go and do it occasionally, maybe one a month, or sometimes nothing for months. But then to have that strange, vicarious need to on the one hand, not want to talk about him, be very dignified and not. Go into the ghoulish details. On the other hand, own a pub and want to be there, stood behind the bar, and have that beacon of let's go to the hangman's pub because the man behind the bar has done it. There's something car crashy about that, and then wanted to go and sort of just witness him. And Pierre Point, at the end of his years, when the light had sort of shone off him, he began to bring people back round to his house and tie them up and show them how he used to do it. It was like he needed to have that thrill again.
Get that.
It's like, I used to do this. And yet he was very dignified during it, thinking it wasn't his business to talk about it. And he was very private about it, I think, on the whole, but then he did have a sort of strange need for the celebrity of it to manifest itself.
Well, that's sort of how you define yourself and that fades away.
Absolutely.
You can pretty much apply that to any profession where you rise to the top of it.
Yeah, and then you're out the other side, and what are you? Yeah, I mean, and then the play explores that. It's that we arrive on the day that hanging's abolished.
So did Pierpoint actually own a pub as well? And
yeah, he did.
Is that still in existence, his pub?
I think I'm not sure if it's been knocked down now or whether it's there and not called. It was called Help the Poor Struggler. It's in there. So strange.
It has an awful double meaning. Yeah. Considering the occupation.
I know. And I'm not sure if it's still there, but it was in Oldham. Yeah, he owned it, and a couple of other ones did as well. I think Harry Allen, who was other hangman, he owned a pub as well. So it was something they did. But yeah, it was. What
would you name your pub if you opened a pub?
I don't know. I don't like pubs. I never go in pubs. I rarely. I'm not a pub person.
How much of just pub culture is easy access to a place to go eat that's nearby to where people live?
Well, yeah, but I mean, pubs are like restaurants now, aren't they? You get that mostly. There's a big offshoot of being able to go and eat, but I've always found them. I've always been a bit scared of them because I'm always frightened that people are going to get drunk and punch me. Because there's an element of you put yourself in the lion's den with people that are not quite in control.
But now they're all upscale eateries and...
Yeah. I suppose you don't get that in the restaurant side unless it's...
Certainly the ones in London
horrible,
that I encountered are all now sort of fusion cuisine.
Gastro, yeah, I know, true. But,
that sort of divey aspect doesn't seem to exist as much. Yeah. And they're all... I saw they're owned by, what, 2 different companies? One major that's bought them all up.
There are big, sort of soulless...
It was fascinating when I went in 2013 to sort of go to different pubs, and they go, this is the same menu.
Yeah.
It's a different name and quote-unquote atmosphere, but printed out same font, just like they're changing the letterhead on top of the menu.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's a proper chain, isn't it? It's weird. I was thinking about the notion of the pub landing in the for the American. I mean, of course, you've got bars, but it's not quite the same thing, but... Edgar's film World's End was all about pubs, wasn't it? And that
whole pub crawl
thing, yes. And that, people sort of get what that is. So it's not completely alien on the one hand, but on the other hand it is. I mean, I think you could look at that bar and think, in the context, where am I? Is this a Victorian play? What? And I think it's very clever, the design, because we're all wearing, the men in the play, despite the fact it's in the 60s, we look like we're in the 50s, because fashion just hasn't caught up. So when Mooney arrives...
Particularly in that area of the country.
Exactly, yeah. When he comes from London, it's like this peacock arriving. It's incredible. He's completely different.
And he's got his long hair. And
it's totally the new world coming in. And Pierpont, when he comes in, he's like Edwardian. It's even more sort of older again. So it's interesting that these... But that's what it's like, isn't it? In your era, you sort of stay in the 10 years behind.
It's also, I mean, speaking of pubs at that time, you had that also aspect of the family who ran it, own it, living adjacent or upstairs from that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So you're almost like it's inviting people into your home.
Yes, absolutely.
And holding court. And this place sort of treats it like that as far as these are family guests that come in every night.
Yes, yeah.
With that sort of awkwardness that guests in your home entails.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And the cronies, they're there day after day, and that sort of weird need for them to be there because they are buying and spending their money there, but on the other hand, it's become sort of a relentless, it's like a family that won't go away at Christmas.
Yeah, and as a tie-in as far as you've now explored this sort of in the post-Brexit atmosphere in 2 creative works. Now, with Legal Gentlemen being able to lean fully into...
We did, yeah. I mean, it would have been sort of a strange, glaring omission to have not embraced the fact that Tubbs and Edwards' ethos has become everyone's first choice.
Well, I mean, you're on social media. You saw at the time... as the whole Brexit thing was burgeoning and the vote was looming, that the memes were starting and pulling those characters in.
They did, yeah. I mean, they were complete. I mean, we could have, the comic relief version would have been Tubbs and Edward arriving with UKIP badges on. That was they sort of completely embody that. But it would have been too broad, too obvious a joke in a way. But yeah, absolutely. So we thought, well, it's never been a political show. It was always just the characters and the fun of their lives. But we thought it would be the driving force behind it could be sort of something like we could have a little bit of a just go toward a little bit of a comment on the world that we're in now via them. And so that was a lovely thing to do. And I think, we, on the whole, a difficult thing to dare to do, and then we did it from pure joy of the notion of doing those characters again and being with each other for a length of time filming it, because, we always see each other, but it was great to work with each other again and get Mark back in working with us and Jeremy. And he came back. It was like I watched some bits on the monitor, and I looked at it and I said to Jeremy, it's like the League of Gentlemen. And it was lovely that it just felt the same.
It didn't feel dated or out of why is this back? There was no aspect of it that felt.
Yeah. I mean, of course, people think it was a frightening thing to do. I mean, it was. We had all the questions that you would ask as a fan. Should we do it? But I think weirdly we didn't overthink it, and I think that was what was the good thing about it.
Were any of you more leery than the others
about doing it?
Yeah.
At all? No, not really. Once we decided to do it, I think we thought, no, we weren't. We were wondering what things to do and how do you bring it back, and tonally, are you allowed to do certain things anymore, and what will be the scrutiny of it, and just how it lands with an audience that can. Even just down to the basics of filming it and having everyone taking pictures on the day of filming it and it being ruined. I'm such a big thing about spoilers in this world where you can't do anything without it already being, the bits of the film, of the filming online on YouTube where people just filmed whole sections. And I'm thinking that's the climax of the film. It's not even edited and it's online already. They've ruined it. But, I seek it out, trying to find to shut it down.
Right.
No one else does. Barely anyone knows about it. So,
but also the joy in that, even if it might be spoiled, is what the final form of it is, and it's in watching how it all pulls together. Because you can ruin a climax, but if you have no idea what the context of that climax is, viewing that footage, you wrote it.
Yes. Yeah. No.
But someone seeing it doesn't know, say, what a genie suddenly appearing means.
Exactly, yeah. No, we had some sort of extraordinary... I mean, one of the lovely things about arriving at these mad people again and these sort of extraordinary... I mean, Pop becoming a genie. I don't think you get that in any other show. Someone just turning into a genie. And I thought, this feels...
Mrs. Brown's Boys did it.
Yeah, did they? Yeah, probably. It feels very much... It felt like it was very much sort of a collective... I mean, that came out of just us laughing our heads off at the fact that we thought suddenly Steve looked like a genie. And then Mark said, could he be a genie? And we were like, no, he can't be a genie. And then Jeremy went away and wrote the ending where he was a genie. And it was all in Rich's fantasy. So we sort of had our cake and eat it. And so it was a joyous thing to do. And we loved doing it. And it was, once we were up and running doing it, I mean, every step of the way, the running joke from June when we started writing it, or May, June, was, we were sort of going along with the idea of writing it, but of course we're not really doing it. we said that till the day we were filming it, but we're not doing it. It was just sort of like we were laughing because we felt ultimately that it was like Pauline's reminiscence therapy for us. So yeah, we chose which characters we thought we had some stories left to tell. Tried to do as many as we could. I mean, what we learned was the world is different as far as filming a sketch show. We got a lot of money for those 3 specials, which is fantastic, but just the time was reduced, and we had so little time to do it. We did those 3 in 18 days.
It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous, yeah, with all those character changes and makeups. It was
so comparatively, how long did you have for 6 episodes of a series originally?
We had, I think, 6 weeks. I think we had 4 weeks on location and 2 weeks in the studio. It was much more, or maybe a week in the studio. But luxurious in comparison, but that's why they don't make sketch shows anymore. It's too expensive and too time-consuming to go around the house. Seems like it's quick. They're all little bitty things. But each one of those things requires a new setup, of course, and you go somewhere and you've got to get the makeup on new location, and that is just too much of a... I mean, obviously they still do sketch shows, but I think they're increasingly difficult.
Yeah, but you push that to the extreme with number 9, as far as pushing a reset button every single episode.
I know. In our foolish way, we thought that they're all bottleneck episodes, and it's quite cheap, but it's not, because you're not building one set and using it for 6 weeks, 6 times over,
Or one character.
Or one character, yeah, which you return to, and then that's that. You can do it day after day. So many ideas and worlds disposed of in a number 9. I sometimes think how many careers have we used up in these stories? Each one of these could be someone's entire oeuvre.
Yeah. You at this point could have done what? 24 different
if the all
series
gone, if each one could have become its own series. I mean, the problem is, of course, I say that, but actually the reason why they work as well as they do, if they work, if I may say that some of them do work.
Stop being so humble.
Yeah. Is that you can do the things, you can do the extremes, and there's no consequences to it, and that's why you can get away with things that are extraordinary at the end, because there's no reset button, and you don't have to return to normal at the end next week.
Is there any one of those stories that you would return to, that you're curious to know where those characters went after that?
It would be fun to do another episode with Eddie and Ray, the bungling burglars. But they were killed at the end, so we can't do. You have to do a prequel.
Yeah.
Maybe how they met. I don't know whether you do a silent one again. But I know on the Warren and Clark, I'd love to do more of their travelling around the countryside and their witch trials. But again, they were dispatched. So they'd all have to be prequels or sort of some other bubble where you could encounter them. You could maybe do something and they would appear in it via something else, as if they were...
Maybe the two of them were snatched out of time.
Yes.
Brought to the present.
Yes, that would be great, yeah.
Along with David Warner, because why not?
Yeah, we'd have David back, yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? I think it would have to be a really good idea so that we would feel that we wouldn't be accused of running out of ideas. And you're returning to the other characters. Oh, what a shame you've finally given up. You can't think of anything new. I think that's what I would fear people would think if we went back to a pre-existing story. But if it was good, I think people wouldn't mind.
No, I mean, that's ultimately the final arbiter on any of that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think and that's always the case. That's the case for any telly, isn't it? If it's good, you don't really... It's only commissioners and people that are in telly that think about telly the way that they think people think about telly.
I mean, one of the things you've shown so far is you guys can do anything you want.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic palette, isn't it, to be able to do this anthology, because we get the opportunity of doing 6 half hours of anything we want on time.
I mean, what genre haven't you done? Horror.
Yeah.
You've done comedy. You've done farce as far as a form of comedy.
Yeah. We've done sort of psychological ones. We've done more
straight drama.
Ones. Yeah. We've done sort of kitchen sinky ones. Yeah. So
you've done fantasy. You haven't done sci-fi yet.
We've not done sci-fi. We've not done an out-and-out musical, although we sort of dipped our toe in doing our karaoke thing, which was a bit musical-ish, but not like a musical theatre one way.
Now that you've crossed the iambic pentameter sort of chore of constructing that, you're going to have to write an entire half-hour musical.
Yeah, got to do a Hamilton.
Do it fully in song.
Yeah. I know, yeah, well, I think that would be
Who would you cast? Who would you want to bring in singing-wise?
Michael Ball.
I would love to see what you guys would do with Michael Ball.
Michael Ball and Crawford.
Because he was great in that Victoria Wood
he was
thing that she did a few years back.
Well, yeah, and he's a very nice man, yeah. I did a Would I Lie to You with him, and he was very nice.
That's right, you did.
Yeah, he was great. And Charlie Brooker as well. He was very nice. A weird combination. Yeah, it's like a new cast of art.
People are going to be referencing that. Remember when they were all back on that one?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. When did that happen? So yeah, it's been it's great, and I love doing the 9s, but they are a rod for our own back now, because Series 4 seems to have been really well received. I've sort of missed it because I'm here in the US, but I keep getting updates from Steve, and going down really well.
Do these updates come via Telegram?
How did on Skype.
What?
I physically saw him yesterday. Yeah, we Skyped each other, so I was able to.
So he does have a computer.
Yeah, apparently, he can work things out. He pretends he doesn't know how to do things, but he does. And he said it's going really well. And I don't know whether it depends where you look, because I'm sure there are many people that go, "What is it? Are you doing any more League of Gentlemen?" No, we do Inside Number 9. What's that? There's many people that don't know it, but I think people are finally going, what is this thing that just hasn't gone away? And I've vaguely heard about it, but everyone's talking about it, or some people are. And they've dipped their toe in and liked it.
And it's, as I've said before, such an easy thing to dip the toe in.
Of course.
Because it requires absolutely no commitment beyond that half hour.
Yeah, and if you don't like that one, there'll be another one, but you probably will, because they're not terrible. There's some really good ones. And the annoying thing about the anthology thing is you get that, you're able to stack them against each other and go, oh, this one isn't as good as this one. But that's the point, isn't it? You just get, your taste is your taste. So you might not like a horror one, but then you like a broad comedy one, and that's the one you'd put as number one. The interesting thing, when I've seen lots of people do lists of best to worst, I don't know why it has to be worst, but they always put the worst one.
Best to least favorite.
Yes, exactly. That's fine. And they're all different. There's no deciding factor where it's like, yeah, this is clearly the best one. People really like the ones that have give them an emotional response. They've loved the Sheridan Smith 12 Days of Christine, as we've said before, and they've really liked the Bernie Clifton's dressing room, the one with the double act, and that was very moving as well. So that's interesting to me that people like that. I think it's not as horrible. I think we put people off with our really nasty ones. Although some people love that and they think that's what it is, and that's why I watch it. But that's just
well, even the misconception of people may thinking what Psychoville is. Psychoville is incredibly moving.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I never thought of that, but yeah, of course it is, yeah. And you care about those characters and what happens, especially in the second series when they all start being killed. It's like you've invested so much time. It's very moving when Lomax is killed.
There is
Tea Leaf sees him.
Such an arc to that show.
Yeah. And Maureen and David's very moving, despite them monstrous serial killer couple. You care for them. And that's, I guess, the uncomfortable place that we sort of like putting people, where you don't know whether you should have loyalties to these people, but you sort of do. And Pauline was that, wasn't she? And that was very moving.
I never thought we'd see a moving dispatch of Pauline.
I know, yes, of course.
That ends in just a tragic moment for poor Mickey.
Poor Mickey, yeah. Finally a fireman. We think actually he probably isn't a fireman, and he's actually a strippogram. And that outfit was just a strippogram outfit. He's come back home in it. We wanted somehow to make that clear, but we couldn't think of a way of doing it. Not without sort of going in on the back of the jacket and seeing.
Right.
You could have hung up the coat and it would have been revealed that it wasn't it.
That reveal on her dementia.
Yeah, that was a way of having our cake and eat it, because we thought people will be confused, thinking, well, is this a prequel? Is this how they all met? Because she doesn't know them.
Why is the entire
is this the scene?
Class back together?
Yeah, is this
when there was clearly an arc for what happened with that?
Absolutely, yeah. We're in the present, and yet it seems like this is the first time. It's almost like a sketch about when they all met for the first time, and then of course the reveal that it's play acting for her benefit. We thought it was a nice way of being able to sort of do a classic Pauline, where she just comes down the stairs and okey cokey pig in a pokey and does what we wanted her to do, and then have something with a bit of a surprise hit at the end where all is not as it seems.
Did it feel weird to pull the characters back? And so I'm assuming now, even though clearly it does just in the way it was constructed, that the film exists in a bubble, because it's a meta take on that.
So. Yes, there was some talk about the canonical place of the film, and I think in the end we thought, let's just keep that aside from itself, because they all vanish into Jeremy's mind anyway when he's in his coma at the end. So that's why. But some people think
you still have not yet made Jeremy's film.
I know. Yes, with the tales. I know. Isn't there a film about that though recently? I think Jeremy texted me saying my ideas come true. But yeah, we thought let's leave that outside of the arc of the story. I mean, there's some things, we did this BFI screening and someone asked me about why have you backpedaled and not had Jeff with loads of scars on his face, because in the third series he was the plot point was that he was going to be unrecognisable, and that was good for him because he was going to be blamed for those bombings. And we did a makeup test where I had all scars on my face as Jeff, thinking let's absolutely do what we should do, and it was just ridiculous. I just thought, what's the point? It will please 3 people, and everyone else will be like, well, who's that character?
Well, there's the 3 people that tweet you afterwards going, where were the scars?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's the madness of it, yeah. But we thought, no, there's a bigger picture, and let's just do Jeff. We wanted to see them back again as themselves. And you could say, well, he did have scars, and they've got better. It's 15 years later.
Who were you most looking forward to stepping back in the shoes of?
Well, that's really hard, because I really was excited about doing all of them. But Jeff and Ollie, I think, were my 2 favourite ones to do again. But I really enjoyed doing Bernice, because it was a new spin on her being the mayoress was quite fun, and it wasn't initially going to be her. I think we were going to have a new mayor that might have replaced Roy Chubby Brown, because he died in the second one. Then we thought, actually, we could just make it Bernice. It sort of fits that she's got this sort of regal quality, and it was a way of using her. So despite the fact that...
And would have been angling for that sort of...
Yeah, of course, yeah. And she was... sort of, how would you have used her otherwise? And she felt like a little bit like sort of exposition. A lot of her scenes with her and Murray were driving the plot of the boundary change and the rest of it. But he still managed to get a few nice little jokes. I love the little bit about the Daniel Blake. and the line when they're all cheering and she's whipping up the crowd and they're all got their t-shirts on and she goes, fucking sheep. And that's a real sort of...
Which is also perfectly in character with how she would...
Absolutely, yes, yeah. No, it wasn't... we didn't...
She just moved flocks.
Exactly, yeah. Quite literally. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was great to be back with Jeremy and Mark again, and that felt like it had never... And, the fantastic response to Mark's monologue that he did with the bingo call. That was a really... a lovely piece of work, and
but you can't get past New Day.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
as far as a start to bring you back into the world.
Yes, yeah. Well, me and Jeremy had that idea about 5 years ago. If we brought it back, we would begin with Benjamin going back in on the train, and some sort of joke again that would mirror the first one, but we didn't quite know what it would be. And then we just hit upon it being Auntie Val sat there with her. So it's perfect. Yeah, it was great.
And Mark had no qualms.
Not at all. No, he was always happy to get his bum out.
And it was a long day of filming.
Yeah, we did that.
No pun intended.
First thing in the morning, we did that. We had that train for a brief time, so we had to go and do that. But the day that we filmed arriving at the Dentons and walking from Babs Cabs into the house naked with Mark was hundreds of people watching and filming it. So it was like,
and none of that wound up online.
No, I didn't see any of that actually. That was quite.
They just saved those for themselves.
Maybe they kept them from personal use. Yeah. So that wasn't spoiled. I don't think that was good.
Well, as a group getting back together, you all never seem to have that sort of weird, tense dynamic that like Python has that makes them getting back together such fraught with friction.
No, not at all. I mean, the opposite. It was exciting to do it and it was fun. Yeah, we really have not got any animosity or there's nothing is wrong with any of us as far as I think we're pleased that it was a success. It would have been worse had it been struggling. I think that was the people always ask us, do you row and was it difficult? But I think we would have done if it was not working out. But because it was, like Mark's been saying in a lot of the interviews, we did it because we wanted to, not because we have to. And it wasn't a sort of, we're all struggling, let's do a League of Gentlemen, because the people might remember that.
Right.
It was born purely out of the probable fun we would have if we did it. And it was great fun, and we loved doing it. And it went all too quickly, because it was such a short block of time filming it. 18 days was ludicrous. We didn't quite realise it would be so short a time. We thought it would be at least 3 weeks. It wasn't even quite that, so it was really tight and tough, but everyone sort of rose to it, and everyone on board was so pleased to be on it. They were all fans of it and thought it was exciting that we were doing more League of Gentlemen. So I think everyone was, it was tiring, but everyone sort of, any days that we didn't make, that we pushed to get them all in. And it was a labour of love as usual.
Well, technically, also, the second reunion, you all have done, because I informed you that I remember that I saw in 2013 you all back on stage for a charity benefit.
We did, we did a couple of sketches. And you got a ticket and you were there.
Last minute up front.
Amazing. Yeah.
And a weird bill.
A weird bill, a very eclectic bill with Harry Hill and Jack Whitehall did a bit, didn't he?
And Rowan Atkinson.
And we, not knowing that we were the top of the bill, because we thought, well, we'll just be on somewhere during that night. And as the night went on, we realised we were going to be
building to
us being on at the end. And I don't quite know whether, when you were in the audience, did it feel like it was a thing that we were back doing that thing or not?
No, it was very much building anticipation for your return.
Right, really? That's interesting, yeah. I mean, we just didn't really think about it. I think we did Pam Douve and we did business.
Wearing the same suits?
Yeah, doing the old dinner jacket.
How did that come about, doing
it being
as far as your uniform in performance to...
Well, that was right from the early days of doing it live in the Canal Cafe. We thought we would slightly, and the name The League of Gentlemen, which we thought was quite sort of Oxbridgey, and people might think it was a clever review show, and we wanted to sort of continue that ruse with our look, which was quite smart, and dinner jackets with the bow ties, and we thought it was it's a uniform, and it gives the impression that it's like for Cambridge students, and yet then we'd do this very dark material that would slightly not suit the look, and it would be easy to add on any character details like Pauline's glasses on a chain, and because Steve, for a long time, Pauline for me is Steve in a dinner jacket but with glasses on a chain, and that was Pauline, and a clipboard. And yet no other makeup. And Bernice was just a shawl. And it was just like one item that would become the character. And we just very quickly throw them in the wings and carry on. A lot of what made the first League shows good was how quick we could get in and out of the sketches. There was no sort of tinkling piano and waiting for 5 minutes while we set the next one.
Right.
It was drilled to be very quick. And televisually, one thing after another, bang, 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 and we would be drilling those 3 chairs that we would need to get into the next sketch. They would be set up, and a lot of it was just the stagecraft of it being quite well done. I don't think it was rocket science that it was a sort of better produced show than a lot of, and that was the thing that we thought when we saw a lot of sketch shows, that just shoddy, quite good sketches within them, but bolting them together was a mess.
Right. And
we thought
you lost all the energy in those transitions.
Absolutely, yeah. And we thought, let's not do that. Let's all of them down. You've got to really have know what you're doing and just be straight in with the next one. And
did you all own the tuxedos at first?
Loan them, yeah. Yeah, I think in Edinburgh we bought second-hand ones. In Edinburgh '96, I remember going to a shop and buying a new bow tie. Yeah, it was mad. And I still maintain that the first Edinburgh was the sort of most exciting it's ever been with...
Does a document exist of that show still?
No. I think I could remember what sketches we did, but it doesn't... There's no...
What would you open with?
Film of it. It began with the football theatre sketch, which we think we did in the live show in the end, where Mark and Steve are two theatre goers at a football match, and then there's a return where they're football hooligan type characters at a theatre show, and their attitude being the same or different. It was a really funny sketch, very literary. We were at Hamlet shouting as if he was, ooh, Ophelia, that kind of thing. It's a very sketchy sketch.
Right.
But it let you in into the world with, this is quite a fun sketch, and you really got the joke very quickly. So, and then, we did local shop, I think. We did 2 local shops, 2 Paulines, 2 Legs Akimbo, I think, Bernice, and I think that might have been it. We didn't do the Dentons. Dentons was very much second wave, and Pop was a second series character, and we did a joke shop character. Lance, the joke shop owner, was in the second Edinburgh. I think the second Edinburgh wasn't as surefire as the first, as far as all the sketches landing. I remember very early on in the first Edinburgh, '96, thinking, after maybe about the first 2, when they were just sort of getting into it, thinking, right, we're fine now. They're all they all really land, they work, and we get a great response to all of them. And it was a bit more like people's taste was slightly, you could just not find some of the sketches funny in the Perrier Award-winning show of 97. That was a little bit more hit and miss, I think. And yes, it would have won the Perrier, weirdly.
So how long had you been performing the material before you got to the first Edinburgh show?
We did Edinburgh 96, and we'd been doing it since about 93 or 4.
So that was well lived in material by the time you got
it. Was the best of all those many Mondays at the Canal Cafe just churning out material and thinking, that's a good one, that's a good one. We bolted it together and made a best of hour.
What was the first sketch to be retired from that 93 material?
Oh, now you're asking. We did a sketch that was sort of like a hippie traveller, and it became the character that Steve did. We sort of revived her for the live show and also for the third series, Tish, that character. And that was a live sketch that I think I did. I played her, and I did Tish, and it was this, you can go to India for like no P, half a P, and it was all this weird. I love going to India because I get diarrhea and I lose 2 stone. That was weird, just that sort of attitude, and talking about spliffs and sort of a hateful Camden hippie is what we were trying to do. And but not really a hippie, sort of playing at it, having just left college. So it was, I did that, and then that was, I think we didn't do that anymore. We did a version of Papa Lazarou that was Mr. Asmodeus, and that was his mind reading act. But it was just I did it much more like just a mind reader, a fraudulent medium, basically. Right. And that was, but then that whole thing with George and Give Us Your Wedding Ring was added in for Papa Lazarou. But there was a version where it was just a sort of a sketch about a bad, clearly fraudulent medium with a very naive lady out of the audience.
I mean, you're doing a live tour coming up, this Grand Reunion live tour. Is there any of those long retired pieces, just as like an Easter egg, you would bring back and put back on its feet to sort of like, here's a vintage league sketch that no one has seen in 25 years?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the interesting thing, but
how you tackle it now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Whether it would be, I mean, we'll certainly be trawling through any piece of scrap of paper with any material on it. Looking through drawers for things. I always
performing Python sketches.
It's like that Stephen King, isn't it? Where is it Insomnia, which is the one where he's written the books, and he's a writer. He's a very successful writer, and every year when he was poor and on fire, he wrote all these novels, and then he gets a success one with one. But year upon year, he's not writing anymore. He can't write anymore, but he's giving his publisher these old books that he wrote when he was when he had ideas, and then he eventually runs out and he hasn't got any more. But he's not got any more in the drawer, and it's a really good.
It's not the dark half, is it?
No, I think it's is it Bag of Bones?
Oh, it's one of the short stories.
I think it is a full.
Is it a full novel?
Yeah, I think it's a full novel. Yeah, we must find it out. I'm annoyed I don't know it. But yeah,
let's tweet Stephen.
He's using his back catalogue as present material because it's still in it. And it's like, oh, this is great. This is like, you wrote this 20 years ago. I did. So yeah, we'll definitely, we want to do something that's a theatrical event, with our new live show. It'll be a celebration. I think people want to see us doing those characters, and yet we'll try and do some new spin on it and make it feel like it's got some sort of theme. The first tour was sort of The Wizard of Oz with the black and white first half, and then the full-on Royston Vasey colour in the second half. So technology's great, isn't it? Now we can do things with screens and this and that, things that we couldn't do when we were touring 20 years ago.
So many theatrical effects you can do now on stage a lot more cheaply.
Might well be some sort of stuff with magic and illusion and stuff that we could utilise. I'd love to do that. So I think
we need to bring every trick. Lasers. Use lasers.
Siegfried and Roy.
Not enough people. Tigers. You can have animals. Now you've achieved a level of success.
Yeah.
What dangerous animals do you want on besides Steve? you want on stage?
Yeah, a massive lion in a cage fighting an elephant.
Why in the cage?
Well, that's just it.
If you're going to bring a lion out, let the audience experience the lion.
Down the aisle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
That's your act break, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Don't give us ideas. We did have, with the third series and the madness of Lazarus putting people in the animals, we did want to have, when Jeff says, we did address the past madness of the third series. When Jeff says, you still having flashbacks about being stuck in that elephant. we didn't try it, but we thought, would it be good just to have a flash of that from series 3 where he's in the elephant and then just come back to, no, I'm fine now. It would have been quite funny to insert that little bit of footage of when we saw him in the elephant with Bernice, but we thought, no, it's just insane. It's enough that we reference it and we're not seeing it. So we left it out. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about the tour. It'll be good. And I sort of can't think of it yet because I'm still in the middle of New York.
Is it going to be documented? Is that the plan that you're going to have eventually?
They're bound to want to have a film of it, yeah. That's not been talked about yet, but I'm sure we will.
You're running out of time to talk about these things.
Yeah.
This year is practically over.
It is. Yeah, I know. It's all...
You're doing this run.
Doing this run.
You don't know what's going to happen yet with this, but you have a lot of deadlines.
We do.
You have a lot to do, is what I'm saying.
To do, yeah, and it will be... It'll be a full-on year, yes, absolutely.
So what of the things are you least looking forward to? See, that's the questions that I want to...
I know. Well, I'm daunted by it, but it's exciting to have, a world where I can create my own things with my friend, and friends. It's a joyous thing. And the rewards are great, but the stress level is higher because it's we're to blame at the end of it, When you're an actor in someone else's thing.
It's everyone else.
It's everyone else, yeah. So this is just, and yet, all it is sitting in a room and trying to make each other laugh. But there is some craft to it. It's not as easy as that. People often say, do you just get drunk and write it down? Of course not.
You get high and write it down.
Yeah. That's how to do it.
As the success has grown, the embellishment facilitators.
Yeah.
Higher quality, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, you've got to go high end.
It's not cheap booze anymore. What if you then looking back 25 years?
Yeah.
Also looking back 25 years, what are the differences in the writing dynamic?
Well, I think we don't...
Besides just being established professionals now who have to juggle family and all the other projects to reassemble. I'm assuming then it was basically a bunch of students getting together. And
of course, yeah, that's all it was. And then I think Steve and I now have really perfected not worrying about it as much as I think we used to. I think we don't stress about not finding a solution immediately. I think we would get... Psychoville was really hard to write. I remember it being a headache. Partly because it was difficult with all the plot strands, trying to juggle all the stories and make it all fit and feel justified and rewarding and all those things you want to have happen with a longer narrative. But I think we enjoy it more, and I think we've got more patience. We never row, we never really argue. We sort of sit in silence for long periods of time until the other one backs down.
What's the longest you've sat in silence?
A couple of weeks. Yeah, we talk a lot about what we think the story could be before we even begin to write it, and that really helps with any sort of going down any caveats or dead ends where you think actually we hate to be writing blindly, not really knowing what we're doing. We feel it becomes flabby, and it always helps to think you've got a direction, even if it's just for one bit of the scene, so you can. And then to have a few scenes bolted together, or even a half hour, if you can get to the end, to have the artifact of it and think, right, now we can go back and work on and change things if we need to, or discover halfway through that ending's going to be far too easy to get. people are going to be ahead of it.
Right.
So sometimes we've realised that or thought that and thought we need to change it. And then, of course, you start thinking, well, people are now, are they cottoning on to the fact that we give them several endings and one of them, a couple of them obviously won't be the ending. So even that twist becomes inevitable.
Right.
So then I think it's not about the twist. We don't do 28 minutes for 30 seconds of the end. It's about the story. And that is the bulk of what we concentrate on. So I think it does the whole program a disservice to think you're waiting on with gritted teeth for how none of it will be as it seems at the end, They're not all like that either. So you mustn't be disappointed when some of them are just happy endings or move you like the Bernie Clifton one, I suppose it was a twist that he was dead, but it didn't feel like we were trying to do a
bait and switch.
Yeah. No, it didn't really feel like that at all. It was just sort of like a nice detail that's sort of...
The bait and switch would have been if he was a ghost who was haunting him, and he was actually there.
That would have been, absolutely.
That would have been the corny twist of...
Yeah, and he had a heart attack and died when you saw him. He came back like Marley.
Well, double death is...
Yeah.
He was a ghost who died.
So... No, not the ghost died again. He's perpetually dying, purgatory.
Are there any stories that you've abandoned?
We did one, I don't want to say because they may all be reusable.
But there are.
Yeah. We did a whole Halloween, I can say this, version. It was sort of, maybe it wasn't, but we thought it could be a Halloween Inside Number 9. And it was a longer form thing, and it had some great stories in it that have not been seen. And it was too expensive to do. Adam, our producer, said, it's great, but we can't do it. So it's on the back burner as a script. We put a lot of work into it, so I think eventually that might see something could be pulled from that, or the whole thing could be.
Or that's the basis of the feature film.
Yeah. Could easily do a portmanteau Number 9, couldn't you, with 3 different 9s? That would be the way to do it. Or just one big one. I think oftentimes people... I mean, one of the nice things is that how we do cram so much into 30 minutes, but it's a different thing to suddenly get to a 90 or 80-minute thing.
It is astounding how many stories have been difficult that you've gotten to the edit process and you've lost stuff. He's like, I just want one more minute to have this thing remain in here.
Well, it's funny because the BBC have been very good about that. They've been quite flexible about, the Riddle of the Sphinx is 32 minutes and BBC programs have to be 28 minutes 30 maximum, or 29 if you really beg.
Right.
So, but they've allowed us to have a little bit of leeway either side of the allotted time, and it's out of, and I think it's just Adam saying it'd be really good if you would let us, and they've sort of okayed it, and it's been fine. But other ones have suffered.
That's really got a tick.
Yeah.
Somebody off in the network.
Yes, I know.
Or other creators going, we didn't get 4 extra minutes.
4 extra minutes, exactly, yeah. Well, most people want less. I think we've had it. But the one that was a lot was cut out was Diddle Diddle Dumpling, the one with the shoe. A big chunk of that had to go, and it was a shame. Because we had a whole other ending with Steve had moved in with my wife, and there was a whole scene with the daughter and the girl. I think we called her Octavia. I can't remember, there was a girl in it that was the friend of the little girl, and she was very pernickety, and then we actually saw a scene with her, and then he was there, and it was, there was about another 6-7 minutes that could have gone in that would have made a slightly different ending. But maybe it was a bit literal. It was we just suddenly curtailed it and ended it with the presentation. Because that was what was happened. She got to see the footage and put it in the video recorder of him in the street, putting the shoe in the street, and you sort of saw her reaction to, oh my God, he did it, rather than we ended the whole episode with the realization that it's all to do with his twins, and then just over the credits we showed the CCTV footage, which was an artful way of getting that same ending, but without having to go through the motions of putting.
Would you ever want anyone to see the sort of different cut of it?
Well, it would be interesting just to see a bit more. Yeah, it wasn't. I think it was better the way it was, probably, ultimately. That's the funny thing, isn't it, about director's versions, you look and think, yeah, there's a reason why.
That was actually excised.
Actually gone, yeah. Wicker Man is better when it's one night and not two. The protracted version of that film, I think, does go on a bit.
Yeah, who needs another Wicker Man?
Who needs another night in just the Green Mile, the Green Man? Yeah, no one. Maybe Edward Woodward. He'd want one more night, wouldn't he?
Just one more night.
Just one more night.
That's the comedy sequel.
Yeah. One more night. So yeah, there are some things. I mean, we never get to artfully put together DVDs with all this shit on it anymore because no one wants DVDs. We're told every time, just be lucky it's even coming out on DVD because no one buys them. So we can't do, League was lovingly, but it was in the heyday of DVD and we would loved lavishing.
But that's the thing, that all these, you have special features being released with digital releases now.
I know, well, maybe we're just told that because people don't know Inside Number 9 and think no one really buys this. Because they'll do it on Sherlock, they'll do it on Doctor Who. So, of course, people...
I mean, we had this conversation years ago about doing bootleg commentaries, and that wound up happening,
yeah. We did it on the SoundCloud, and that was good fun, and we sort of made an Inside Number 9 out of
it
by having an arc with our...
Should have won a BAFTA.
Yeah. They don't do that BAFTA anymore. Yeah, else we probably would have done.
So maybe you could go back and backfill...
Yeah, well, we'd like to.
And do commentaries and...
Yeah.
I mean, if the material exists digitally, just start releasing it online.
Yeah, I don't know how accessible it would be. I mean, it's all just in the editing suite, isn't it? And it gets snipped off and put aside. It requires some fiddling with processing it and grading it, and if you want to make it look presentable to the world. But I'm sure, there's a version where you don't do that and you just somehow sift through it, but I literally don't know where it is.
At the very least, commentaries, again. It doesn't have to be as involved as...
I know, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? Yeah. Well,
it was fun. It was great.
It was fun, it was great. But we've not done League commentaries, and they were always a joy to do. But again, there was no money, they said. But we could do them. We could sit down somewhere.
I mean, you're getting together to write again for the live show, so you're going to be together. Literally, all it takes is 90 minutes of your time while you're all together.
Yeah, just to sit through and watch them.
I mean, as we're sitting down right here with my microphones and a digital recorder, it doesn't have to be studio quality sound. People just want to hear the conversation and the commentary.
Yeah, I know. No, it would be good fun to do. We should explore it. And no one does not want to do it.
Right.
It's just, it wasn't presented to us like, turn up on 9.
No one's presenting these things anymore.
No, I know. No one wants them. And we're told, Steve and I are desperate to do a book of all the scripts of Number 9. There's no interest.
Why are you waiting for them to do it?
How do we do it? Put it on, get a printer and start printing it up ourselves.
Yes, it's all mimeograph. It's a two-man operation. Someone is stapling.
Exactly, yeah.
No, Amazon you can do book on demand with them. You just send them the file and people order it and they print it on demand.
Right, yeah, of course.
The entry point to making it available is so low right now.
Right, yeah.
To just get it out there.
Well, that would be something, wouldn't it? But I think we want to make a bit more of it and do, I don't know, something else with it. But yeah.
Maybe you're talking to the wrong publishers is the other thing.
Yeah, I know. Because I think there would be. I mean, I think that...
Now that we're putting it out into the world...
Yeah.
Because you're not terribly good on asking on your social media platform for these things.
No, God, no.
Speaking of Netflix.
Yeah.
Now we're putting it out.
Yeah.
If anyone would like to see Inside Number 9, I'll say it so you can remain humble.
Yeah.
And would like to have it available on Netflix in the U.S. It's available in the U.K.
It is.
They can easily tweet. I think it's at Netflix US or just at Netflix for and let them know.
Put it on. Yeah.
Simply pick it up. You don't have to fund new production.
No.
Just distribute, make available the catalog that as it currently exists.
Yeah. Well, that would be great. I think a lot of people would come to it and see it because that's the only thing that's a shame about it. I think it could have such a wider ranging audience. It's pegged as this quite dark thing, but actually it's much more accessible than I think they realise.
But that's also, there are dark episodes. if you're concerned that the person you're introducing to the show might be turned off by that, pick the one that isn't a dark episode.
Yeah, show them a silly one. Quite a night in or something.
Again,
Lauren Hardy.
Yeah, that the anthology nature of it means there's no continuity hang-ups of introducing anywhere in the run to somebody.
I saw an article the other day. It was a US article about the rise of anthology shows, and it said, here are 10 new anthology shows that you must not miss. And we were not on it. No.
I mean, it went to 10. Number 9 was in there.
Yeah, I know. Could have put it at 9, couldn't they? But it broke my heart that we weren't on it. I thought,
so what was on it? So there was the Philip K. Dick one, and
it was
that obviously Dark Mirror or Black Mirror was on there.
Room 101, Room 104, whatever it's called. Is that right?
No, but it should be Room 101.
Yeah.
Room 404.
404, whatever it is, yeah. And loads of others that are seemingly coming. But it's thrilling that it's a thing again. But please allow us to be on the list.
The thing that, again, it suffers from is just an inaccessibility to easily share it with people.
Yes, exactly, yeah. It is.
And that really is just a switch to be flipped. It doesn't have to be Netflix. If Netflix doesn't want to do it, I think the BBC has their deal with Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Just some streaming service in the US.
Yeah. They have it's on Hulu, but I don't know how many people can get that, or that's difficult to find.
Right.
So So
what's your one? If you were to pick the one where you go, here's my endorsed introductory episode.
Oh, really? So number 9. That's interesting. Probably Tom and Jerry. It's a dark one.
Right.
But it's sort of... It might be off. I mean, you can't do one, can you? Because you'll put everyone off that doesn't like dark, weird humour. You could do Quiet Night In. It's very silly. And then you think, they're all going to be like these silly comedies. And then they're not. Maybe
that's it. Maybe do a guide based on sensibility.
Yeah, well, that's what you need.
If this is the sensibility this is the episode to introduce. If you want comedy, this is the one. Yeah, if you want dark, this is the one. If you want bleak, this is the one.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But even saying that slightly ruins it.
The actual whatever.
Yeah, whatever it might be, yeah. Oh, this is a bleak one, I'm Steve.
But that's the thing. You're not advising. I would say this list is for fans wanting to introduce friends to it.
Yeah, who know it anyway and go.
Right. Maybe here is an easy guide for quickly recommending the episode as your introductory for that friend.
Yeah.
So it doesn't spoil it. It's a helpful guide for...
That would be good. I should...
Aficionados.
Should do that in one day when I've got 10 minutes.
So much time sitting in a city you haven't explored yet.
I can't explore it because I'm still rehearsing the play. I feel like I can't enjoy myself yet. So I'm still sort of in work mode before. Once the play's up and running and then my days are free, it'll be fun. But I'm still sort of a little bit thinking that thing isn't concluded. It's not right yet. We're still working on it, so... But it's great to be in New York for an amount of time like this. I will feel like I've...
Because you did no touristy things for the league appearances, right? When you were here in that run?
No, not really. We did a little... I think we went on the Staten Island Ferry and we went up the Rockefeller Center.
Just because you wanted to recapture the opening of Working Girl, right?
Yes, that was exactly what
you were playing Carly Simon.
Thing where we've had a running gag for about 15 years that Neil Sedaka is a supervillain, and he emits huge sort of public service announcements from the Staten Island Ferry. This is Sedaka, and it's like I have
like a Bond villain.
Yeah, I have your children, and it's like pay me $1 million. I don't know why. I'm calling from the Staten Island Ferry. We just have this whole thing where he's a supervillain. It's a silly thing we've been doing. But when I think of the Staten Island Ferry, Neil Sedaka with a loud hailer comes into my mind.
Did you ever hear the dueling songs that he and Carole King wrote back in their Brill building days?
No, I don't think so.
It was like a call and answer insult songs.
Oh, really?
So I think his is Oh Carol, and she wrote Hey Neil.
Oh, right.
And they're two And hers is caustic.
Really?
Snippy against. They're great listens if you look up the two of those.
I will, yeah. No,
it's just sort of bringing songwriters going, screw you.
Yeah, great.
to each other.
Oh, I should look out for that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, Steve and I always go and see him when he's at the Royal Albert Hall. He took me for my birthday last year.
So does he often go over and play?
He's always there. He's every year, I think, or every other year. And it's like a huge sort of sing-along with all the oldies.
So you're going to bring him into a number 9?
The goodies. I'd love to have him.
There's your musical episode.
I know, yeah. Get him in. What is this? we have to send him a few. I love it. He recalls the British press in his early days having a ball with him. He says, so you had your fun with me. I was known as everyone's favourite uncle. The bowling ball with a smiling face. And he remembered and recounts all these insults.
So there's a little bit of bitterness and resentment.
You had your fun with me. So, yeah, it would be funny to have Sadako in an episode, but we'd have to...
So you're expecting at the end of his run, when he just goes, I've locked all the doors.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
There's no escape. Who's the bowling ball now?
Everyone's favourite bank teller. that was another one. Some of his suits, I think. He was too neat. But, yeah, we have to think about... it's great. The guest stars are a lovely thing in number 9, because, lots of people want to do them. And we seem to be able to get good people. It's a week's work.
Well, even going back to Psychoville.
Yeah,
I mean, now...
great people, yeah.
Someone reminded me...
From Oscar Lomax to Oscar nominee, Daniel.
Speaking of Daniel, someone reminded me of a chat that I did years ago with him shortly after Psychoville, where he talks about the direction process that he had and notes that he had in that.
Wow.
And how fondly he spoke of you all.
Very good, yeah. Well, he is.
And the rest of the time we talked about how to make an egg, and do taxes.
Yeah.
But that's a bit of a chat.
That's just all in a day's chat with you.
Yeah. All right, tax advice and boiling an egg.
Yeah. And what's more important? Probably
the two things in life.
Yeah.
Taxes and eggs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's lovely to have all these great actors in it. And one of the great things I always sort of enjoy in the number 9s is that we're one character for the whole thing. It's great doing the chopping around with the league and everything, but I think it is a young man's game. So it's lovely to just be one character for that whole time and get into it for the week, And then me and Steve reset, and the fact that a new set of cast come in and it's a whole new world gives you that energy to start again the next week. You feel like it's a new repertory company coming in, and it gives you that new leap into a new energy.
So as a horror fan, here's a hypothetical for you.
Yeah.
If you could cast in a number 9 any Hammer horror actor who has passed.
Oh my God. Well, it would be Price, Cushing or Lee, wouldn't it?
Four together in a number 9?
Yeah, well, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah, have them all together. Arriving. I mean, it would be a little bit House of Long Shadows, but who cares?
Throw in a Vincent Price, too, just to...
Yeah, it'd be good to have Vincent in it. I think there was talk of Christopher Lee being in one, but I think he was just too frail, and I think it was via John Landis. He said, you should ask Chris. We were like, no. And he was like, he'll do it if he could sit in a chair. And we were like, I don't think you can sit in a chair. You have to do it. For,
well, that's how Peter got him for The Hobbit, is sitting...
Yeah. Literally sat on a chair in a green screen room, yeah. So we didn't do it in the end, because you want them to be able to do it, and you want it to be a nice experience for them. And I think it would have just been difficult.
Right.
So
instead you're going to bring John Landis in.
Yeah, get John in. John was happy to do Psychoville. He loved it.
He's a ham.
He was very adamant that it wasn't him playing this asshole director. It's not me, is it? I said, no, it's not. It's our director.
Directors are so difficult. The ego.
Yeah, exactly. So he was good fun to have. And he was just around and he wanted to do it, so it was fun. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I think Max, his son, is writing the just to change subject, American Werewolf.
Yeah,
I think he's had a go at the first draft.
Don't know how I feel about...
No, I don't. I don't know. It's daring to do it.
It's not a movie. I'm fine with remakes of poor films or films that didn't quite feel fully realized.
Yeah.
American Werewolf doesn't feel like that to me.
Not to
Remake an American Werewolf in Paris if you're going to remake something.
Yes, true. Yeah, exactly. No, it'd be
But London, there's such a weird alchemy when you're like, there's a script, there's a visual look, there's a performance. That all gelled into this thing.
Yeah, I know.
To try and dip back into that when that thing still exists.
Yeah.
Seems at best redundant.
I know. I saw a tweet from Max saying, I've just finished my first draft. It was difficult. Of American Werewolf, it was difficult because the laptop kept folding under the weight of my father's expectation. So I think he knows full well he's doing it. So
but then it goes back to, then why do it?
Yeah,
I still don't. I can't process this.
It's
the necessity.
Yeah, strange death wish. But if he pulls it off somehow and it's good in its own right, then great. But as with all those things, you think, why remake the thing? Why remake, things that are just great,
Right.
But,
well, when they're remaking League years from now.
Yeah. No one will touch that.
And you have that tribute act that's performing old sketches.
That would be fun, yeah. See people doing very...
It's been done with Python.
Really? Yeah, of course it has, yeah. People just doing this, churning out the sketches. Are they doing something again, Python?
They really can't.
Yeah.
I mean, now with Terry Jones's condition, you're at 4.
Yeah.
And then
maybe there was some book or something, there was some collaboration back.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was, but all of that is usually spearheaded by one person in the group, like an Eric, who...
Yeah, just sort of galvanizes them to contribute. Yeah. It's funny being a part of a thing that splits up but then sort of exists outside of you all. It's a comforting thing to have.
Yeah, you guys never really merchandised like you should.
No, we didn't. We didn't at all, did we? We did a bit on the live tour, just T-shirts, but that's to be expected. But there's not a great raft of things that you could... I mean, I think it is, despite the fact that it now seems to be heralded as this great thing, it passed people by. I lived through it and it was liked, but it was cultish.
Right.
But Forbidden Planet and places like that, they do very bespoke little models of things, don't they? That you get models of the baby from a Razorhead and these weird obscure things that you can get, but there should be somewhere Tubbs and an Edward and a local shop and a little diorama of all the characters you could buy.
Here's my one ask as far as a cheap, easy thing to do at the live shows. I want a Royston Vasey postcard.
Yes. Absolutely, we should have that. I think we've done that in the past. I think we had it in the book. In the first book, the Book of Precious Things, I think there was a Royston Vasey postcard. It had really rubbish.
But an actual...
But yeah, you could use it.
Version of that.
Or a book of
postcards, yes, of the various locations.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah. A phony book.
A little tear out.
Yeah. It's as if it's from Royston Vasey. Yeah, that would be lovely. Yeah, we should do that. It would be, we did Pauline's Pens and we did a snow globe. I mean,
the scary thing, I'm going to make it a scary thing right now in describing it, has got to be how fast this tour is coming up as far as pulling together, A, the writing.
I know.
B, whatever rehearsals you're going to do. C, having merchandise ready to sell.
I know.
Seems like you kind of have to pull the trigger on that now.
Thinking about that now, yeah, you're right, we do.
Because that's all stuff that has to be available on the day if it's manufactured.
Yeah.
Unless you're just going to pull out of a warehouse anything left from the last tour.
Sure, there's boxes and boxes of stuff.
It's all in Mark's garage, right?
Yeah, probably. Well, I've got a big box of the script book in my attic.
Really? Just sitting up there?
Sitting up there, yeah. Loads of them. Couldn't sell them. They were going to literally pulp them, or I could have them. And I said, you can't just... It's a beautiful thing. You can't just pulp them. Give me them. So I've got, about 3 boxes of them.
Just to keep.
Just to keep. Just there as insulation. Keeps my house warm. They're in a line.
How's your heating bill?
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine now. Yeah.
Maybe that's pull them out of mothballs.
Yeah, I know. Well, exactly. I don't know what state they're in now. I've not looked at them since about 1990.
Well, now they're vintage.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think, I see people get them for 1p or find them in a charity shop. It's such a shame. It's such a beautiful. You
need to pre-sign them and then donate them to charity shops.
Yeah.
And tell people that they can find signed copies in charity shops around the country.
Treasure hunt to go and grab it. Yeah. Well, I remember very clearly the madness of when we had all of the League of Gentlemen costumes. Yves Barr, our French costume designer, he kept them all in a warehouse, and we were paying for the storage. And he was like, I'll keep them in case we need them. And eventually, he was like, I can't keep them anymore. And just what we're doing, been years and years. So the original Tubbs outfit was standing on a mannequin in a Muswell Hill Oxfam, just there to buy for like 10p, and the moon boots and everything. And I was like, look at that! That could be in the music. That's wrong. And it was just there.
That was your Indiana Jones moment.
Yeah, sort of was. Yeah. And I thought, someone would have had that. That could have gone somewhere,
you could have bought it for 10p.
Auctioned off. Yeah, I could have had it. Pushed it in the gap in the window. Keep the wind out.
Put it with a script book.
Yes. Push it into the walls, keep the insulation. But I was like, that's a shame.
Did you save anything?
I had the original Lazaro outfit, which I donned and wore for the special. I got it out of the attic. It was in the attic. Same hat, brush it off. And it was all exactly the same stuff, so that was nice. Pleasing, we can all get into the costumes. One of the great things about the revival was we all look the same, just about. I mean, we were meant to be older, and we sort of looked a bit older, but essentially...
But a lot of those characters, they were older than you were at the time, anyway, so you were aging up through makeup.
Exactly, yeah. We're older now than they should have been. So, but eventually we sort of we've grown into the characters. So it didn't look like...
Eventually you're just going to own that Edward mustache, right?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That'll just be your dignified older gentleman look.
Yeah. I know, exactly. So it was nice that we sort of not let ourselves go too far that you couldn't do the characters again, because it was like, well, you can't. This is tragic. So it didn't feel like that, which is nice, But
20 years from now, when you do the next set of 3 specials.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll see some differences, I think.
Won't be awkward at all.
Yeah, no. Well, we'll be trying to make us look like human beings.
That's when you get your Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, which is what I'm banking on, ultimately getting some sort of recognition, because it's not coming in this lifetime.
They're only going to get one statue. You're going to have to buy the other 3.
Yeah, which is what we had to do with the BAFTAs. Yeah, you can have 3, but we can't give you 4.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they wouldn't give us it, so we had to buy it. And it had to have reproduction written on it. And
yet you won that award, so it shouldn't be considered a reproduction.
No, yeah, we could have stood our ground and gone, what, why? But we just didn't. We were just young, weren't we? It was 1999.
And who got it?
We drew for it, and I think Steve got the reproduction. It's not a reproduction, it's exactly the same, but it's got on it reproduction. On the plaque, I think.
Yeah. It's not going to sell as much at the charity shop when it winds up there.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not an original.
I know. We'll have the charity shop.
You know what? That's what you should call the merchandise stand for the tour, is the Royston Vasey charity shop.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, certainly wouldn't be as cheap as in a charity shop, probably. Someone asked us the other day, what do you want people to take away from this tour? And we said T-shirts. I think that's in the spirit of that. We've got to have some nice merchandise, I think. 'Cause people, obviously, there's a lot of people very fond of the programme. More than I ever really realised. Because I thought they were being optimistic with however many dates they've put on with this show, thinking, I don't want to do half-empty houses, and it would be really sad. But it's not. It's nearly sold out.
These are not small venues that this is going into.
No. O2. Ludicrous, it's exciting. From the day that we found out they'd opened that venue, Steve texted us, can you believe, from above a pub? And now we're doing the O2. It's quite incredible, that journey, isn't it?
But I would think in those venues that you're working off of, there's screens that are playing to the far seats. Does that in any way affect your performance because you're able to do subtleties of facial gesture because it's projected massive, as well.
Yeah, it will change it. I mean, I remember the biggest we did last time was the Birmingham Indoor Arena, and that was 5,500. And I remember it being weird because they'd get the joke early here at the front, and then it would take however many seconds to travel to the back.
So there was a comic Doppler effect.
Strange, timing issue of like, when do I continue? Because they haven't got it at the back quite yet. It was like they were in the past in the back. In the past and the future, and it had to take time to travel. It was like a dark star or something. But I think, we'll just have to... there are some venues that are...
You have Australia to work it out.
Not intimate, but some of them are more theatres, and that's where it'll suit it. But I think, we'll be able to find a halfway house where they get enjoyment out of it. I hope so anyway. That's all we're going to try and do.
I thought you were playing a halfway house. That's where my mind went to for a moment.
Yeah, literally a halfway house. Give them a good night, I think. An exciting one last hurrah before one of us dies.
I can't think of a better way to end this conversation than with that statement.
Yep.
See us now while you still can.
Yes, while one of us isn't a hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should draw straws for that.
No, we're not going to keep one.
Who gets to be a hologram? Every show should end with at least one of you.
Me and Steve always ask which one of the League of Gentlemen is going to be the first one to die. So I'm asking.
Well, the only way to take chance away from that.
I don't know whether you're proposing murder or suicide.
It depends on how much you care about the team.
Yeah. How much you want to win.
Or how much you want out. Well, I guess we should end this by telling everyone to go see Hangmen while you're in it, while they can.
Go and see.
If they're able.
If they're able, because I know it's sold very well, but it's on at the Atlantic Theatre. Please come and see it. I think you'll...
A lovely little converted church.
Yeah. It's very intimate. It's 200 seats. So it's a great place to see that play. Because when you're in it, it's like you're in the pub.
Yeah.
You're right on top of you.
Why Mark Addy is not out serving drinks in an intermission.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
I mean, they're working taps, it seems, on stage, so...
The beer is horrible. It's like a weird mixture of...
I mean, it's watered down. It's what they used on Cheers, essentially, right? There was
I think so, yeah.
They don't want you all getting soused on
slightly soapy.
Maybe they just really cleaned the pumps well.
I think it's something to do with it. I think it is...
to give it a foam?
Yeah, it's to give drink a foam. It's a legitimate thing they put in to make beer look more foamy, but it's sort of orangey coloured, so it looks like beer.
But there's so much drinking in this.
There's a lot of drinking. Part of the mechanics of the whole play is when people can go and have wheeze.
I was astounded based on the amount of drinking that's happening.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a lot of uncomfortable moments in that performance of someone going, I just need to be off stage.
Yeah. Johnny's got to do a few in the show.
Oh, he's downed quite a few.
Loads, isn't he? One where he drinks the whole thing down quick.
Or at least the dressing room's easy access, or just in a bucket off stage.
Just straw.
I'm sorry, the equity bucket off stage.
That's right, yeah. You put your cigarettes in it and you wee in it. No, there are toilets nearby.
Well, at least you don't have to drink so much.
I don't really have to drink anything. Yeah, it's not.
You just have to drink in the adulation.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah.
So I think that's it.
Yeah,
I think this is our in-person bit of a chat.
It's been lovely, thank you. And what great fun to see you in the flesh. I never thought we'd do it, but it's great.
I'm glad it worked out. Well, now I guess we should just say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed my ranting again.
Everyone drop a line to Netflix or
that would be good. And more, get the word out for number 9 to become the thing it deserves to be, which is known about.
And make sure to tweet at Reece, not at Steve, because he could care less and doesn't check. If you like to see those script books or those audio commentaries.
Yeah, we will try and do all these things. There is an audience for such a thing. And people would love those scripts. It's great. You can have 24 little plays under your belt. It'd be interesting. There is, of course, the thought of doing them live.
I hope you string together a night of number 9.
It'd be great, wouldn't it, to do 3 one night or something?
It'd be great to get together like a little rep company to then pull off 3 stories and just change roles in those stories along with you two.
Yeah. Going through it, that would be lovely.
Well, this has been another chat of ideas.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I feel like I'm tasking you.
Sam, I've got to do too many things already without you throwing other things in.
Still trying to get through this play I'm in.
Exactly.
So bye, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.